Hey there, welcome back to Mommy Reboot TV. I'm your host, Jody Agard. Okay, so here we go with more Self-Care 911 series. And today we are talking about regaining control within the uncontrollable. So the truth is, we don't have a lot of control of what's happening in the world right now. We just don't. There's some things we have control over, but there's tons of things happening right now throughout the world that feels very out of control. And for many of us, we are struggling with, just accepting and just realizing the fact that things are changing so rapidly and we don't have control over it. It's just things are unraveling on every single level around the world right now. So what could be happening is that you might be feeling completely out of control. Your world might feel like it is just spinning. And it probably is. And in the reality, it is in the sense of everything has changed, right? So how you regain control within the uncontrollable is a couple things. The first is to accept the fact that you cannot possibly control everything. And if you're recovering, or if you are a control freak like myself, thankfully I am a recovering one, and I think I'm always going to be in recovery because I like control. It's just my default system of who I am. I like that sense of control. But where I notice where it really hangs me up is when I begin to rail against it, or if I'm really caught up in this idea that it needs to change. Like, no, this is just awful. Like, it needs to change. In that moment, what I've learned to do is just accept the uncontrollable, accept the circumstances right in front of me, because what that does is it actually puts me back in control. So the truth is, which leads me to my next thing, is that while we don't have a lot of control of what's going on in our outer world right now, we 100% have control of what's going in our inner world. And that is actually a lot more powerful, because then when we can look at those circumstances, we can choose. And that's a really big part of what I've had to learn on my own journey, that peace and happiness and all those happy things isn't dependent on what's happening in the outside world, at least not for me as much anymore, because I have total control of what goes on up here. And in that sense, I am in control, right? Even though on the outside, I don't have a lot of controlling. No, it's not like the government has asked me my opinion, right? Or yours or anybody else's. And so we don't have a lot of control. But we have the choice to perceive things differently. We have the choice to look at things differently. We have the choice to behave differently. We have the choice to show up in certain ways. We have the choice just to adopt beliefs that are more in alignment with happiness and peace and love and kindness and all those things that make us feel good. We have that control. But it's just a matter of taking back our control in our mind, most importantly. And then the last thing is doing the small things that make you feel like your life is a little bit more in your hands. So that might be, for instance, maybe you have your kid who you're homeschooling and your schedule is completely off, right? I know for us and our family, things are just different. Things are just totally different. Our daily schedule just looks a little bit differently. And so there's things within our daily routine that have changed. And that can feel very upsetting. It can feel upsetting. But what you can control is those little moments in your daily routine. So maybe you're not working out in the morning, or maybe you're not doing the yoga class online in the morning like you were before, or maybe you're not going to yoga class in the morning anymore, obviously, because you're being sheltered in place. And maybe your movement, your exercise, your whatever, your self-care in the morning isn't happening, because you've got to get your kids started and it's just not happening. It's just too chaotic. But you can take back your control and say, where actually is this showing up? Where can I put it? Where can I squeeze in this yoga class in the afternoon, maybe in the evening? But basically with working with what you've got. That's how you take back your control as far as your daily routine is yes, things are different, But yes, you actually still have control to do the things that make you feel good, do the things that make you feel more connected to yourself. It might not just be, it might not look exactly the way it was, and to kind of be fluid in that and be flexible with the fact that yes, things are changing. Yes, things have changed, but the more flexible you can be with them, the more you actually gain back your control. I hope that makes sense, because it makes sense in my mind completely. And if it doesn't make sense, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know how to explain it any better. But yeah, it's a mind game, really, this whole idea of control. It all begins in the mind. And you can feel in control in your mind. You can actually choose your moods. And I know that's not common. Not a lot of people are saying that, but it's true. So yes, my husband or my kids might do something to piss me off and rub me the wrong way, but I can actually choose to feel anger or choose just to let it go. And there's power in that. There's control in that. And sometimes I might choose just to get angry and fly off the handle at the kid who isn't listening to me. Who knows? But I can also choose just to walk away and take a couple deep breaths and come back to it later. So we actually have a lot more control in that sense than anything else. And I think honestly that means more. Having control of your mind, having control of your moods, is a part of the reality that we're living in right now. I think it's a necessary piece of self-care to maintain our well-being right now and our mental health, because there are so many things that are out of our control, but it's those little things that we actually do have control over. And that's our emotions, that's our moods, that's how we respond to people, that's how we react to people, because there's a difference between reacting and responding, which maybe that's another video. I think it might be another video. I'll have to do another video on that. Okay, so regain your control within the uncontrollable. That's your practice this week. Okay, I hope you have a good day. And if you thought of that mama who really needs to hear this, send her this link, send her my Instagram page. And then if you are not already a part of the Mommy Reboot community over in Facebook, we would love to have you. Have a good day.